Hello and welcome to episode 6 of Marketing Uncensored. I'm Colin Slattery,
Sam Tomlinson.
and we got a mailbag episode for you guys today. You have questions, and Sam and I have answers for you.
Yes.
Correct opinions.
Correct. Yes.
Sam, where are you today?
I'm in Lisbon. I'm in Lisbon. So this is the first of the Marketing Uncensored International series, where Colin and I go to various cities in Europe and still do podcasts because the
Correct.
internet is cool.
Love that. I need to get a camera for my travel
This
filming.
it, this is actually the new MacBook Pro camera because I finally got angry. I have to buy a new MacBook Pro. And I did the bougie white guy thing where I just pushed every single most button on the Apple website.
As much as a car?
So a used car, yes.
Nice.
It did come with a really good camera. So I'm basically winning.
Unlike the Lenovo laptops where it looks like a fucking hostage video.
Yes.
Lenovo, get your
Send
shit
help.
together.
Yeah, seriously. Good digital cameras are not that hard. All right, but let's just start somewhere fun. Caleb Williams, PMax, what the fuck is that? And what is the standard setup for PMax shopping feed only and properly setting up explaining asset groups? Boy, it's like 6 questions, Caleb.
Yeah,
You are cheating, but that's all
PMax.
right.
What the fuck is that? Well, I have an answer for that.
Yeah,
It's a
go.
way for Google to sell remnant inventory that they would not otherwise be able to sell.
Exactly. So, you ever watch The Big Short? Go to that nice little Anthony Bourdain scene where he explains fish soup. You take
Yeah,
3-day-old halibut and a bunch of other shit you can't sell, and you mix it together. You add some herbs, and now it's not the fish no one else wanted to buy. It's a whole new thing.
that's right.
It's peanuts.
That is
We put
correct.
some good stuff, we put some bad stuff, we put some maybe rotted, but probably not stuff, and we mix it all together. And because we don't really give you detailed breakdowns, you can't tell what's shit, what's good. You just know that either after you ate it, you threw up, or wasn't so bad.
Upton Sinclair would be very impressed.
Yeah. Okay. Standard setup for PMAX shopping feed only and properly setting up explaining asset groups. So the asset groups piece, I don't think there is a proper setup, but the one that has worked better of late, uh, Brad Geddes did some research with analysis data on this a couple weeks ago.
Shout out to Brad. Love Brad.
Yeah, we love Brad. What he found was that multiple campaigns with one asset group tended to overperform versus a single campaign with multiple asset groups. I think Fred over at Optimizer found the same thing.
I mean, that sounds right to me. Just I don't have their data, but based on, general internal experience, that feels like it checks out.
Yeah. I mean, I think the challenge with PMAX and one of the features that I talked to Ginny about at SMX Advanced was getting asset group level targeting for CPA and ROAS in PMAX,
Yeah.
which has really been a problem. Because, I mean, if you think about it, basically PMAX just finds one asset group that is performing at an acceptable level and it just pours money in. And that it essentially discourages PMAX from once it finds a suitably effective ad asset group, it discourages it from going anywhere else from an experimental point of view. So you end up with this kind of winner take all effect where and by winner, I mean first one to show up. Those of us who, have been around for a little bit know that the first one to show up isn't always the best one, but
Yeah,
that's the one that wins. The people who were cool in high school are not always cool in adulthood. They do not
that's
always win life. They usually end up as cops. So
uh yeah. So I think that'll be helpful. I mean, and that kind of dovetails, I think, into the feed only component of this, which is just use shopping. If you're gonna do feed only, like just go to shopping.
And if you have to do feed only because you really did like that pseudo smart shopping functionality, I would really limit the products that you're putting there to kind of two different groups. One group being the products that you really struggle to move via standard shopping, but all have a relatively similar uh, ROAS target, like a basically contribution margin, because you don't have that group level control. And number
Right.
two are the ones where you think there are additional markets, or you're trying to find additional distribution. So you're trying to figure out like what are the other terms, what are the others, how else can I move this product? But even then, make sure that your shopping campaign priority is set to high so that it serves over. And hopefully, fingers crossed, knock on wood, with the added PMX transparency that's coming in terms of placement reports, search terms reports, etc., you can actually get some of that insight. But just use shopping. Don't be bad.
Yeah. I
I
mean,
feel like Rava. Don't be a poor.
like, and definitely don't be like, oh, we'll put all our products into one asset group and call it a day. Like that's the
Don't be
big
that
no.
person. Don't be that's bad. That's no buenos. Do not pass go. Not good. All right.
Uh,
So thanks, Caleb. Appreciate you.
Always engaging with my content, so love that.
Yes. Also, if we're engaging with your questions and you're not engaging with our content,
Fuck
not
you.
great. We don't like you.
um, this next question I like. Well,
Yeah,
it's
it's a good
not
one.
exactly a question. So it's all about the health and wellness changes that Meta's made. If you're not aware of what those are, congratulations. I'm very jealous. Essentially, at the beginning of the year, Meta made it so that you're not able to get conversion data, really anything beyond, I think it was landing page view data back if you're in certain restricted health and wellness verticals. So any sort of telehealth thing, some supplements, if you're health and wellness, and they've been starting to crack down even further recently. So yeah, they're just depriving brands of this kind of data. So that's the health and wellness, and it's like, so the question is, any thoughts on steps brands should consider if they're hit with the health and wellness tag, especially for brands that aren't actually handling sensitive health info like sports supplements, moisturizers, etc. Uh, and yeah, I have a great answer to that, and that is skirt your way around it. So talked to lots of people at Meta. This was done for liability reasons for Meta, so they're not like getting sued, but you can get around it by setting up your own like conversion APIs to push the data back in. So you can still get purchase data in health and wellness. You just can't use any of Meta's sort of, you can't use like the base pixel. You can't use any of the native conversion API integrations. Like you just have to do your own setup, but you can still get around it.
Yeah, pretty much that.
Um,
Just it's not terribly difficult. You will have to do some tricks. Say tricks. Trick sounds like a bad word. It's not even tricks. It's just you're gonna have to do some custom work. And
you need
you
someone who
know,
can do that. Like,
that's
and
it.
that's it. There's a lot of people. Shout out Brett Fish,
Yes.
from Tag Hero. Like, send him a sponsored by Tag Hero, Brett. Like he can certainly help. We have people on the team who can help. But yeah, just skirt around it. It's a wink, wink, nudge, nudge sort of situation, I think, at the moment. And no one at Meta has said anything differently to me. So, yeah.
I
And
100%.
that was from Facebook is so meta on Twitter.
Yeah, nice. Love that. All right, Julia. I love Julia. What skills do you look for in an entry or junior level new hire who will exclusively work on performance media? Love that question.
Yeah. Do you want to take it
Yeah,
first?
let's go first. So I think the number one skill that the number one trait, I don't even look for skills because candidly, they have none.
Yes.
So you have to accept the fact that anybody that you are hiring at an entry or junior level person, you are not hiring based on their skills because they don't have shit.
I don't look at
I don't want them to have
anything.
skills.
Yeah.
Actually, we can get into that in a second, but I don't even want them to have
Blank slate.
skills. Blank slate is good, but I'm looking for curiosity first and foremost because every client is unique and which you need to have somebody who is willing to go through and get curious about a problem and comb through pages and pages and pages of ads or data and really be willing to sit there and work with it and really want to get to the answer, not an answer.
And I think related to that is being willing to look for the answer before being like, oh, hey, here's a question for you. It's like try to answer the question yourself. So definitely, resourcefulness.
That's one. Number two is I really look for somebody who is, like you said, self-motivated and resourceful. I don't want somebody who is going to come crying the second they can get to the answer. I don't want somebody who needs to be spoon-fed. Um, I don't want somebody who is just here to take orders or is expecting that our processes, and while we have great processes, and very detailed, this is I'm sure you do, the reality is a process solves 80% of the problem for 80% of clients. The reason you hire a great agency is to solve the other 20%, which is generally speaking very dependent on your business, on each individual client account, and the nuances that come in. Because no two accounts are the same, no two businesses are the same. So you need somebody who can actually work, who has the ability and the resourcefulness to work through that 20%, because that's really what makes or breaks an account.
Yeah. One of the things, and we definitely look for both of those, attention to detail, right?
Yes.
Like this is a detail oriented business. And, you make one messed up setting change in a Google Ads account and you can waste a shitload of money. There are lots of dark patterns and pitfalls. So attention to detail,
Mhm.
absolutely a must.
100%.
And I think effort as well. And I'll actually use like you have to show that you are willing to work and put the effort in. I mean, we pay a lot of money. Like we definitely pay above market rates, and my expectation is that you're going to put effort in, and so we screen for that. And yeah, I don't look for any experience at all. So we have a junior. I mean, she's not like young, but she's junior. She was a teacher in the UK. So she was like an elementary school teacher. And I'm like, great, you'll be so good with clients because they're basically children anyway. So this will be
No
great.
lies detected.
And so she actually was in New York and we met up before I hired her. Again, like I tossed this out on Twitter, no experience at all in the industry. And then she sent me a thank you note from London for like the opportunity to like interview and everything else. I'm like, love this. So good. Hired on the spot. And she's been fucking fantastic. Yeah.
A thank you note is the easiest way to get yourself into a finalist pool among candidates.
100%. Even if it's
It is
just an
not.
email.
I mean, yes, like I prefer you write them because
Oh,
I
yeah.
went to a private Catholic school and they made us write shit all the time. So, you
Yeah.
know,
She had very nice handwriting too.
yeah, that's an easy one. What other things? I really look for somebody who doesn't get in their feelings a lot. Like I want them to be resilient in some way because everything that you do in performance media is going to punch you in the face like over and over and over again. And if you can't take failure and just keep going, like you're going to have clients who are assholes. Like we've all had clients who are assholes. You're going to have clients who completely shit on otherwise good work because they had a bad day. You're going to have days where meta just doesn't work. You're going to have days where, despite your best and sincerest efforts, Google Ads is a piece of shit. If
Yeah.
you can't take all of that, keep smiling and keep working, not going to make it.
Yeah. Let's
So I want somebody who's not gonna like. I mean, I think we've all had those people who you have on a team and like three bad things go, and all of a sudden they're just like a mess. And I'm like, well, dude,
you're not gonna last very long here.
I
This is
don't know what
not
to
the
tell
industry for
you.
you.
Like, that's just called Tuesday around here. Like, get up, dust yourself off, get back to the computer, take a walk around the block if you need to. But if this was easy, everybody would do it, and everybody would do it at the level that we do. It's not.
It's like the Simpsons, like days since last shit eating. It's always at zero.
Correct. Correct. That's not, it's just the reality of this industry. Like shit goes wrong all the time. You're in client services in a volatile, uh, platform centric ecosystem. Like, and you have control of neither the client nor the platform. You're
You're
just a buffer. You are cartilage in a knee, my friend.
you're
You
being
are just
drawn and quartered every day.
That's how this works. So you need to have some resilience. You need to be able to look at it and be like, look, I control my controllables. I am doing the very best that I can. I'm diligent. I'm doing all these things right. If stuff doesn't go right, okay, I'm going to take what I can from it. I'm going to learn from what I can from it. But then the rest of it, I'm just going to let it roll off, and keep at it. Because really, I think persistence and resilience are very, at least in all the resumes that I've seen, it is hard to find people that actually have that trait.
Yeah. Um, which I think this dovetails into a question that's somewhat adjacent from Kirk Williams. Love Kirk. And he loves like is looking for hiring questions, musing insights uh around again hiring people. We have so Sam, you obviously hire more people than we do, although we've been hiring a decent number of people
So
and we get it.
you've been on a little bit of a bender here.
Yeah, I've like added 10 people, like 10 people in the last eight 8 months, something like that. So we've 2.5x the agency size. We're still a baby, but yeah. So like we're fully remote, so we get a shitload of applications for everything and have to screen them. So some of the questions that I like. I love what are your hobbies?
That's a good
So
one.
I want people who are doing something outside of work. I don't care what it is. Like, I play Magic the Gathering. I like golf. I play music. You know, one of the team members, she's like an amateur baker and she like does lots of baking. I want to see
That's so
that
cool.
you're doing something that's not, I sit and scroll TikTok after work. Like, have something going on. Yeah, that's a question we again on it's on our first like submission for any position. So a question we like. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that question a lot. What else do we do? I mean, I just like the hobby question. I like hearing about how you failed.
Yes.
I'm very uninterested in your success because candidly, your success doesn't impress me. Sorry, that sounds mean, but it's true. Like, don't give a shit. But I care about how you failed because I think you learn a lot more from failure than you do from success. Um, I'm very interested in, I really do enjoy hiring former athletes.
Yep. Athletes are great
Yeah,
employees.
they are fantastic employees. They are resilient. They are used to things not going their way. They're used to dealing in a team setting. They tend to have very strong practice habits. So all the
He's
things
like
that tend to map very nicely onto success in the professional
and a
environments.
great tiebreaker too. So we had like we're between two candidates, and one of them was a marathoner too. And I was like, "Bring me the marathoner, please."
Yes. Yeah. Uh, Oh, you can push yourself to run 26 miles? Okay, yeah, I think you can push yourself to get one more Google Ads campaign launched.
Yeah. Um, this is a question that we ask senior people that I really like. That is like, what's I mean, it depends on what the job is, right? But like, what's a strongly held belief around PPC or meta that isn't mainstream and that other people disagree with you on. I want to see people who think for themselves and have their own opinions that other people disagree with. Um, and I push
Yeah.
people on that too in interviews where it's like, I want you to push back, right? Like, I don't want you to
Yeah,
I don't want yes men.
yes, I want a contrarian streak.
Yeah.
Not like
Cause
you got to temper it a little bit. Like you have to know, I mean, there are again 80% of the time for 80% of the clients, a procedure will generally speaking work or be effective or at the very least give you like a B level outcome that you can optimize from. But you need the contrarian thinkers who are willing to look at that and be like, actually, this is a 20% case where we need to do something that is a material deviation.
yeah, like I want people who aren't just going to do everything as it's written and never question, oh, hey, should we do this differently? Could we do this better? And, holding your own opinions, I think is very important.
The other question that I like to ask is around aside from like fun riddles and stuff, because I just think those are enjoyable to watch people swear. Um, but it's also to understand how you do when you're faced with like a ridiculous question on a fine call, because clients do that shit all the time. But my other big thing is all around, give me examples of when you fundamentally disagreed with somebody. How did you handle it? Because the reality is, whether you're 15 people or 50 people or 500 people, there are times when somebody's going to make a decision that you don't agree with. And if you're going to be a whiny bitch, I don't want you. Like, I'm a big fan of like Jeff Bezos' disagree at first, then agree and commit.
Right. Like when a
Because
decision's made, like that's it.
correct. When we go to a client, we're a united front. We whatever disagreements we have about creative strategy or PPC strategy or whatever, we hash them out. But when we come to a decision, I expect every person on the team to be behind that decision 100%. And it's not helpful to have people that are actively sabotaging you from your own team.
Yeah, I think Elon had a thing with this too, where it's like, if you disagree with me, you have, uh,
You have three
three
options.
choices, right? Like you go along, you tell me why I'm wrong and support that with data, or you resign. Like those are your options.
Elon gets a lot of flack. Elon was right in this particular case.
I agree. Yeah.
Like
Like,
he's
look, tell
absolutely,
tell me I'm wrong, right? And have those
please do.
disagreements, right? Like that is fundamental to getting
Right.
to the right answer. But
Correct.
when a decision has been made and the right answer has been reached, that's it.
Then you need to be behind it 100%. Again, that's why I love athletes. Coach calls a play, you hate the play. Your ass is still out there executing that play 100%. Good. Because if you're not playing anymore. Love that.
Yeah. Um, other hiring thoughts,
Um,
ideas.
I really think it's important to understand how people react when like crazy stuff happens because I think so many people are used to scripted interviews, like where it's like, oh, tell me three things and blah blah. Who gives a shit? Like you've rehearsed this. And if you haven't, good job. Like, so I usually ask like fun like brain teasers. Like, why are manhole covers round?
Why are manhole covers round?
Because if you put them on their side, they can't fall back through. If you put a square manhole, the length of the sides of the square is shorter than the hypotenuse, so it could
Mm.
fall down the shaft. And 200-pound plate of steel falling at 9.8 meters, or accelerating at 9.8 meters per second squared equals big ouchie.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So manhole covers are round, so they can't fall through their own thing that they cover when they're placed on their side.
Hey, it's early in the morning and I've already learned something. Look at that.
Yeah, it's just random. How many golf balls can you fit on a 747?
Yeah. Um,
Just like random stuff that like a client would ask, not that a client would ask, but that is completely and totally out of the box for an interview.
right.
Because all of a sudden you just break somebody's thought pattern and then you see how they're able to process a problem.
Yeah. I mean, this is, ours are, especially our first interview is like very social too, right? Like I'm not asking you anything about your work or like work specific questions because that shit's all rehearsed and like it doesn't really matter. I mean, you're hiring a person, not a list of skills, essentially.
Correct.
And one final thing I will say before we move on to the next one is be absolutely ruthless around getting rid, like scratching people out of the process.
Yeah.
Like they're applying for a job, they're essentially asking for lots of money, right? And if they are not able to proofread their like answers to the questions or their resume, or it doesn't feel like they put effort into any of the questions, or you can tell that they used AI to answer something, garbage,
Get out.
instantly garbage, always.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I've gotten much better over my career, especially I'd say probably the last 5 years of if it's not a hell yes, it's a hell no.
yes, 100%.
That's and we've had plenty of people and there's still conversations that obviously happen, but there are times when I'm like 10 minutes into an interview, 5 minutes into an interview, I'm like, no, you know what? You seem great. And by seem great, I mean I'm sure you're a fine person, but this isn't going to work for me. So I'm going to save us both 25 minutes. And thank you so much for coming in. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for whatever. This isn't a good fit.
Yep. That's why we set ours
And
for 15 minutes. And like,
yeah, I'm very much on the is Well, one of the mistakes I made very early in my career, and I paid for it, was I would try to give people who applying for jobs second and third chances and try to see beyond, look at the, see the red flag, but be like, you know what? I think, no, don't do that. Don't do that. Learn from my mistake. It was a very expensive mistake. Don't
I've
do it.
I've also learned that lesson in an expensive way, looking for all the ways it can go right instead of seeing the ways right
The
in front of your
very
face that it
obvious
can go
wrong.
wrong.
Yeah, it's like, my favorite is like, Danny Kahneman, who I absolutely love, has a test for decisions where he's like, imagine you made the decision and a year later it failed. Why did it fail? Do the same thing with a hire. If you can sit in a room with somebody and say, I was going to hire Jack. Why did that hire go sideways? Why did it fail? And if you can just list off those reasons, no, don't hire Jack,
Yeah.
right? It's the simple inversion principle. It's really hard to find like what's going to make a great person, but it's really easy to see what's going to result in a really shitty hire. And if you see those things, just say no. Just save yourself the aggravation. Just say no.
Don't fall
Let
in love with the
somebody
best
else
case scenario.
correct. Do not fall in love with the best case scenario. Fall in love with high floor, high ceiling. And if they're not in both of those two things, just say no.
Yeah. Low
There's
floor, high ceiling is such a fucking trap.
that is the worst.
Oh, and I've done it too.
I have
And then you're like,
100% I have.
oh, I need to fire these people. But you're like, yeah, but for like those 2 months last year, they were absolutely incredible.
Where
No, stop.
yeah,
Bad
no,
dog.
no. It's like if you're a hockey fan and Nikolai Zherdev candidates, all the skill in the world, practiced for 8 games a year. Those 8 games, oh my God, you can watch the highlights and they're beautiful.
Unfortunately, the season's
The
more than
other
8 games.
76, kind of like peach tape.
Oh man.
Okay, so hopefully that gives you guys something. All right. Derek Mullins, everybody's favorite free consulting question. Potential client, a lawyer, comes to you and asks, my firm brings in 50 new cases monthly, all referrals. They want to grow to at least 75 cases. How much should we budget monthly and what channels?
I
I've
mean, this is such a hard question to answer because like how
got like
much
10
is
questions.
dependent on the value of like conversions. And Derek
Right.
knows this too.
100%. So, I mean, I think the thought process is basically, number one, what's the service area? Number two, what's the case value? Number three, are we talking like traffic tickets? Are we talking divorces? Are we talking truck accidents?
Mesothelioma, like
Yeah, like those are all very, very different. For something like trying to get 25 cases a month in almost any metro, and they have zero outbound marketing. I mean, Google's gonna probably be the top of my list
oh, not
just
even
because,
close. Yeah.
you're with
The intent
exceptions,
is
right?
there.
Yeah, I mean, with exceptions being, maybe if you're doing like mass tort stuff, like
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Nikita Levy was one, and I mean, I did Catholic Church, and I did Nasser, I
You're
did
casting a
Tyndall.
wide net looking
Yeah, like
for
when you have
additional
some of those people
claimants.
who don't know that they suddenly have a case, those are the only cases where I probably start leading Facebook or, when we did Tyndall back right when that broke, he was the USC gynecologist who was creepy as terrible guy, creepy as shit. Use your imagination for what he did. But he was an OBGYN for USC. So that, ironically enough, was a LinkedIn shout
Based on
out
college.
based on college.
Yeah,
You were at
makes
You
sense.
were at USC during any of these times. You were a woman. You probably saw this dude because he was the only one on the campus. So pretty easy way to just like get those people. Right? But that's kind of a niche edge case. I mean, the other ones were like, there was like a doctor at Sinai that had done some creepy stuff. Stuff like that. Maybe I'd go on Meta or YouTube because you, generally speaking, know the characteristics of the people you're trying to bring on
Right. And
as
they're not
as
actively
they're
looking.
not actively looking, they might not even know.
Right.
So
But
you kind of,
those are small cases or
yeah, those are edge
limited.
cases. But I mean,
Yeah.
if it's like a car accident lawyer or a
It,
divorce lawyer,
it's Google.
just go to Google. Enjoy.
Well,
Thank you for your attention to this matter.
well, and then one other thing, right, is like how good are they at closing these fucking things too, right? It's
Yeah.
like, and this is the thing with lead gen always. It's like, oh, the leads aren't good enough. Is that the problem? Or did you wait 7 days to call the lead back? So like,
Yeah.
it's not
That
just
happened.
these are cases,
Yeah.
these are
Well,
fully converted deals. Like they need to be able to close them. Coffee
100%.
is
Yep.
for closers. Like,
And you have to know what the intake team can handle. Because to your point, if they can't handle 200 phone calls a day, maybe take that money and go hire callers. Like that's really the thought process is what's the case worth? What are the commonalities among the plaintiffs? Do they know they need a lawyer or not? If not, go to a discovery platform. If yes, go to Google search.
yeah.
When you start with a new client, what matters the most to you? Good creative, good account setup, or good data flows? Have to rank them from Dan Goldstein.
Thanks, Dan.
Appreciate you.
Have worked with Dan, great guy, like him. This is very easy for me, and I think I would suspect that our answers
Yeah.
will be the same. Good data flows, good creative, good account setup, 1 to 3.
Yeah. I mean, good data's got to be number one.
Yeah,
And
you
then after
literally
that,
can't
you're
do anything without good data.
covered. And then obviously, I mean, creative is account setup is the easiest for me to fix. So it has to go number three because you can very easily fix a shit setup. The next easiest thing for me to fix is good creative. And then the third easiest thing for me to fix is good data. Like if your business's data is just fundamentally broken or you made the great choice to use like Microsoft Dynamics as your CRM, like it's harder for me to fix that. I didn't say I can't, but it's harder.
Right. And if you're
So
not giving platforms good data, like they
you're
can't do
flying
shit
blind
for
anyway.
you. Yeah.
So just don't be a bad, get good data. All right. That was an easy one. Thanks, Dan.
Yeah,
Appreciate
that
you.
was an easy one.
All right, Corey, I'd love to hear your take on diversification of ad channels. Who should do it? When should they do it? And why it's important. Bonus points if you mention other side as a solution, but I would settle for the first part. Corey Dahman.
I mean, I think diversifying ad channels is important. I think the big question is not like if you should do it, it's when you should do it. And I think the answer to that is after you've mastered a channel and are starting to see diminishing returns on said channel despite significant efforts to push it further.
Yeah,
And the level of that is different for different
for a lot.
clients and different verticals.
Yeah, I mean, my general thing is if you can't spend, I mean, it runs the gamut, right? But in general, if you're on Meta or Google and you are not able to spend 100,000 a month or more on those channels reliably, consistently, and profitably, you are not ready to diversify.
Yeah. I was gonna say $10,000 a day, but
Yeah,
yeah,
I
like
mean, it's
absolutely at 100K. If you can't do
yeah,
that, like
no, I mean that's like bare minimum,
you
but
might not have a business. The problem might not be the channels. It might just be you don't have a business.
you don't have right. But then the other thing you have to remember, and I think every CMO that I've talked to, especially the enterprise CMOs, they get so getting fascinated with shiny object syndrome, and they're like, "Oh my God, my other colleagues are talking about this stupid thing over here," and I'm like,
Should we spend money on Pinterest?
"No, you should not spend money on Pinterest. Love you, Pinterest, but you're shit compared to Meta. No, should but you have to remember, right there, a lot of these CMOs they look at it like, oh, it's like a $10,000 pilot on Pinterest. I'm like, that $10,000 pilot is actually $100,000. And they look at me like I'm a crazy person. I'm like, okay, so if we're gonna shit on Pinterest because that seems fun. But if I'm gonna spend 10K on Pinterest, now I need to create a whole bunch of assets for Pinterest. That takes time away from the ads that I'm making for Meta or YouTube or TikTok or whatever else we're running on. Then we need to
What
set up
is
all the
opportunity cost?
yeah, what is opportunity cost essentially? But I'm fracturing my learnings, I'm fracturing my creative team, I'm fracturing my data, and all for fucking what? So that I can get a lower performance than I would get on Meta anyway?
And don't get me
Why?
wrong, like at a certain point, it makes sense to test something, but that gets to another thing where, like, if you are looking to expand, do not half-ass the expansion. Like,
Correct.
don't be like, oh,
You
we'll do a
need,
$10,000 pilot and we're spending $1 million a month. Like, that is not even worth your fucking that the fact that you're even thinking about it is costing you money. Don't even think about it.
Yes, that's a no. So if you're going to go in as a test, like you better go in with like a real budget, and you better go in with real resources and with a real perspective on what success looks like.
Yeah.
Which I think brings me to my second point on diversification. You better have a really clear idea as to what you are hoping to gain or unlock before you do it. Because
And
if you are going to compare a test on Pinterest to your existing scaled dialed in meta campaigns, even a good result on a test is going to look like shit compared to this. It's like me going into a gym with LeBron James. It doesn't matter if I am on my best day, compared to LeBron, I'm going to look terrible.
yeah.
That doesn't mean that in the right situation, with the right metrics and with the right things, I can't be very good directly. I'm pretty good. But compared to the thing that is literally like designed in a lab to score a basketball, it nothing's going to compare, right? You've got to go into your tests with clear eyes and with clear objectives and not hold that test to the same standard as a dialed in.
Yeah, and your goals need to match what the platforms are, right? Your success metrics for YouTube are not the same as search or meta. Like your success metrics for television are not the same. So be realistic about what the channel can and cannot do, where it falls in your overall stack, and how you're going to measure it, and commit to actually testing it. Like the clients who are like, oh, we just want to like dip our toes in, and like then you're wasting everyone's fucking time.
Yeah.
Like don't like either commit to testing it or just don't do it and like wait until you're ready to commit to testing it. Otherwise, you're wasting everyone's fucking time.
So yes. And you know what? We'll be nice to Corey and mention that other side. We're gonna do that, Corey. We're mentioning other side. You see that? Sponsored by Other Side. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Just drop us a Venmo here. I mean, in all seriousness, I do think more brands should rethink programmatic a little bit of late, but that's just me. I think it's gotten more interesting of late.
Yeah, I mean, especially after like the app love and wild.
Yeah, the app love and wildness was more fun for me on the stock market than it was, in fairness, on the advertising side.
Yeah, I
But that's
agree with
basically
that.
like whenever Sean Frank says he's dropping 100K into something fun, I'm like, oh, are they publicly traded? If so, let me just throw some money here.
See, take a little
Thanks for the
ride.
quick double, Sean. I appreciate you.
Sponsored by Ridge.
Yeah, you guys do sell enough shit. You can sponsor us.
Yeah.
All right. What's your no BS take on attribution tools? Worth it or overhyped? From on LinkedIn from Shuvo.
Um, I like this question, and the answer is both worth it and overhyped, depending on the tool and what you're using it for. Um, Useless if you don't have multiple channels that are spending a lot of money. If you're a meta only brand, what the fuck do you need Northbeam for? Like, you don't. And then I do think only some of them are worth the money. Like, I'm team Northbeam personally. If we're talking attribution tools, I think it's the best one. Um, and you know, it's people use them incorrectly, right? And they end up like running a lot of different tools and like, oh, what do we do with this? They get like analysis paralysis. Like they help with answering directional questions, and especially if you have multiples of them, it makes it very easy to make decisions if they all agree, right? And
Yeah.
that is, you know, I think the use case for them, and like more granular stuff that you can't do with more rigorous, testing processes like holdouts.
Yeah, I'm also Team Northbeam. Honestly, I think they're for 90 something percent of the brands. Like if you're just running Google and Meta, you don't need it. I'm sorry, you don't. They're like ridiculously expensive for what they. I mean, if you're running like 9 channels, sure, that
Also,
could
if you're
potentially
under
become.
$10 million a year,
Correct.
like under 10 million a
Just
year as a
no.
brand, completely unnecessary. Spend all your money on meta, get yourself to 10 million, and then come back and start, you know,
Yeah,
spreading stuff out a little
I
bit.
just don't. I'm just not a huge fan. All right. We got 2 more in 10 minutes, so we're doing pretty good here. How much do you trust third-party attribution? And if you're not using it, where do you look to get the full picture from
Oh boy.
And Brumboy Rao. Oh. I mean, I trust it as far as I can throw it, but I mean, attribution just gives credit for stuff that happens. It doesn't tell you incrementality, which is really the thing you should be focused on. So, I mean, I look at like an A and an A, and there we go, got that one out right, right? Get some like Robin, get some kind of incrementality test going. That's what I'm, because that's fundamentally what's moving the business forward.
Yeah, that gives you the full picture, right? The third party attribution tools, it's just kind of for apportioning credit because the platforms are always going to take as much credit as they can, and so it's kind of the ref. It's a ref essentially. Um, yeah, it definitely does not give you the full picture. It just says you get a third of the credit, you get a third of the credit, you get a third of the credit, instead of each one taking 100% of the credit, and then you've got 3x.
Yeah, pretty much.
Also, one other thing that I think it is good at is, which I use a lot, and that is tracking net new engagers with the business, which is actually a very high value thing. Like, what is driving new people into the business? But that's not even conversion data. That's just how are we reaching a new audience? Are we sure that these are net new visitors to the brand, etc.?
Yeah, and then we also got a question from Hingman, everybody's other favorite lawyer. So Hingman's question is basically, I know you both have said stuff about the US winning the AI race, but do we really have to endure 10 years of slop? It's pretty clear there's no moats with AI. As soon as something drops, all the other AI companies quickly have added that thing to their stack.
So my answer to that is you don't have to endure 10 years of slop. You have to endure forever of slop. Like, we are in the slop era. It is never going backwards. It's we're it's the dead internet theory. Like, the internet is dead.
Yeah,
It's
I
all
hate.
it's all slop, or it's 99% slop. It is like when spam emails started happening and everything was spam, and now at least it gets filtered out. But I don't even think that'll be possible. So it is welcome to the spam slop era of the internet. It's
Yeah.
here. It's here to stay.
So yeah, I think that's point one. My point two is I don't think basically this I'm pretty sure was in response to me supporting Palmer on his post about AI regulation, where I think one for those of us who've been in advertising, we all endure the GDPR and the CPPA and all that other state level bullshit. Where I'm like, you know what, just give me one overarching federal regulation that's light touch versus letting California or New York pick anything, because California and New York legislatures, I would not trust them with the goddamn slinky. Like,
As a New York resident, I can 1,000% endorse this position.
like I would not trust Zohan or the dude in California who came up with the AI regulation at all. Ever. Like,
It
no,
should
I
be
don't.
regulated, but
A
anything
hundred
happening
percent.
in the state, like, you have to understand, like, you get clowns at the national level. Imagine the clowns that happen at state level. They are
And
like,
imagine the impact of this with an actual national security technology, like a technology that has national security implications. Like state level legislators are not being read into top secret programs that the military is doing and subcontracting to companies like Palantir or Anduril or any of these other ones.
I barely trust state level legislators to get fucking parking, right? Like, you're gonna
You
trust
can't
them with
trust state
AI?
level. Yeah, no. So number one, that. Number two, I don't think we're anywhere close to actual AI. I think we've basically like we've got like generative pattern regurgitation at this point.
Yeah,
I
everyone who's
think we
talking
are
about AI agents and shit like that, it's all basically doing the stuff that you could already do with Integromat and Zapier 6 years ago. Like,
correct,
it's that
but it's got
that's
like a
mostly what it's
generative layer
doing.
now. But it's
Yes.
got right. You're basically using a deterministic workflow for a probabilistic system, and you're trying to figure out how to make that work. Bit dumb, but okay. I do think we're like two or three more significant breakthroughs away from getting closer to AI. But this is where my other point comes in. I think the companies that are currently winning are best positioned to make those breakthroughs, and I would much rather them be the United States.
Right. Like Google.
Correct. I would very much rather Google just win because Google, for all their flaws, is better than the CCP. Literally anything is better than the CCP.
Yeah, that is not debatable.
So if you think that there are basically like aggregation effects of like small wins, like essentially you get better data and you get better stuff, you are more likely to develop the next fundamental breakthrough. And Google's developed pretty much all of them at this point, with the exception of like the compression that our DeepSeek did
Yeah.
on the training, right? Like we pretty much maxed out the theory that more tokens plus more compute equals better model. We basically we've hit the ceiling there pretty close. So now it's a question of like who's coming up with the next breakthrough, and I'm really hoping it's us. So any advantage I can possibly give to our companies, please do. This is also my entire argument in favor of certain monopolies and why I think the 90s and 2000s were, or the US could have been so much better if we didn't break up Bell Labs.
Regulated
So,
monopolies are good, actually.
correct. Yes, because they actually have the resources to do the kind of like deep R&D and massive future investments that small companies can't make
Correct.
without investor capital, which, you know, monopolies
Requires
are
some things
correct. Like,
like returns.
yes. And, establishing product market fit. Monopolies don't have to worry about that shit anymore. We're good.
Yeah. Problem solved.
Yeah, Google does not have to worry about product market fit on search ads.
Yeah.
Maybe it wouldn't hurt them to worry about it like 5% more, but they don't have to worry about it. They can spend their time funding, DeepMind and going and building like, all kinds of cool transformer shit that results in us getting AI. So please keep doing that, Google. Yeah. Thanks for playing along. Thanks for your questions. We'll be back next week with an episode on a topic that is yet to be determined because we are on summer mode. So
Yeah.
until then, thanks for
If you
joining.
have more
Thanks for listening.
questions, comments, like,
Yes,
subscribe, hit the bell, whatever.
do the things. All right.